Okay, let's see if that worked.
I know it says on my end now streaming, so it didn't say that before.
It's kind of booting up right now.
There it goes.
There we go. Do you see it on your phone?
Not on my phone yet, but I see it on my, there it is. Yep, I got it.
There we are. Yay. Took us a little while, us, I think we're tech savvy, but, we need help too. Right? You think it's always, oh my God, somebody else is so tech savvy, but it's really just, trying, and then trying again, and then, calling someone if you have somebody in the house, like a teenager, to come to the rescue, or, your spouse, to get it going. But we figured it out. So I didn't press the right button. That's how simple this was. So, hi everyone, I'm Dallas Piana. You're on Coach's Scaling Secrets and Strategies. And today my special guest is Jamie Hayen, right?
Hayen. Hayen like pain. Hayen like pain.
Hayen.
Okay.
Jamie is, her company is called The Presenter Mentor. And I found her online. I actually kind of snooped on her business page. And she was doing this great video on presenting that made me laugh so hard that I reached out to her and I said, you've got to come over and be in my group and share some of your wisdom regarding presenting, because people just don't get what presenting is all about. And what the other thing I love about Jamie is she also had the plan A, the career in corporate America, decided she had enough of it, like most of us in my group, and have decided to actually take a piece of her expertise and repackage it and market it as a solopreneur, as an expert in presenting. So tell us about your story about, the old you and how you made the decision to the new you.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. I love your group. I love being part of your group. My story starts a long time ago. Like, I hate to even admit this statistic, but like 25 years ago. And I started my career as a retail store manager. That was my job. I was a retail store manager. And so I just it almost happened by accident that I got into presenting. So I was really good at my job, and the company that I worked for at the time was going to expand nationally. And they said, we want you to be part of our SWAT team. We want you to help us open up more stores. And I was like, oh, all right, I'm a young kid. This is awesome. And the very first store that I opened was the very first time I ever had to present in front of an audience. And let's just say that first one did not go well, like not at all. It was horrible. I was bad. So first of all, I'm a very shy person and I'm an introvert.
You wouldn't know this, would you?
I know. This is learned behavior, Dallas. I have learned to project. So I get in front of this audience.
Well, it's more than just projection, because there's this excitement going on here too. So
yeah, it's how you show up, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
And so I'm in front of this audience for the first time, and they're all staring at me, and I'm sweating, and my heart's pounding, and I'm thinking, oh no, what have I gotten myself into, and how do I get out of it? And then to make matters worse, I was bad at it. So I talked at them. I had no plan. I was unprepared. It was a train wreck. It was so bad. But, and this is a big but, at the end of that presentation, there was like this little spark, this little bit of, wait a minute now. If I really knew what I was doing, I might kind of like this, and maybe I could be good at it. And that became my mission. Like, I was determined to not just be good at presenting, but be,
Lily.
But be the best at it. That was my goal. I wanted to be the best presenter possible. And then once I mastered it, I wanted to help other people master it. And so that became my mission, my goal, if you will. And back then, in those days, 25 years ago, the internet wasn't like it is now, and YouTube wasn't like it was now. There weren't coaches to help you.
No, you had to learn it all on your own. There
And
were no mentors.
no, I mean, at least me, I achieved success by failing. I failed miserably. I learned by screwing up, by trying different things, by asking for feedback. And the end of the story is I got my dream job. I worked my way up and eventually became a director of learning and development for a Fortune 100 company, which on paper sounds awesome. And like you alluded to, like that was plan A, that was the goal, but on paper it looked great, but I was miserable. I was unhappy and not healthy. I was stressed out of my mind. I would go home every day exhausted. And I'm sure there are people, watching this now.
How long were you there for? How long were you there?
Well, in total, that was 25 years of total. But as the director at that,
on you after a while, huh?
At the director level, I was a director for 12 years.
Yeah.
And it does, at the beginning, it's fun and it's exciting, but the stress of a big corporation, and it's just, it just wasn't for me. And, I suffer from, I'll give you some perspective. I suffer from migraine headaches. I have my whole adult life. And at the time, so this is about 2 years ago, I had headaches 15 days a month. So that means half my life, I'm either in pain or medicated. And I like to say, I hit a wall. I hit this point in my life where I went, this is not what life is supposed to be. This is not what I'm meant to be. This is not how I want to live my life. And so I quit my job. I just quit my job. Now I make it sound like it was just, instantaneous. It wasn't. And I gave plenty of notice, but I quit with no plan. And the cool thing is, you and I talked about this, the first year, my husband and I took off in our RV. So we traveled the US in our RV, just the two of us and our two mini schnauzers, Franklin and Otis. And it was spectacular. It was exactly the break that I needed, and to just clear my head and figure out, who I was and what was important to me and where I wanted to go. So you talk about transforming your life, that would talk about dramatic. Selling everything you own, like the hardest part, people always ask me, like, what was the hardest part? Getting rid of my shoes, my handbags, and my holiday decorations. Like those three things,
wow.
Devastated me. Yeah. Yeah. So
you put nothing in storage? Like nothing in storage?
My husband allowed me 4 totes. Four totes. That's all I got.
That's it?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Otherwise, you'd have storage, this massive storage, and you're spending all of this money just to keep stuff. And
yeah, so you had 25 years worth of, belongings that you got rid of to actually clear your mind and move forward. Wow, that must have been really cathartic.
The best part, I think I actually have a video on this somewhere. The best part was taking all of my clothes and shoes and handbags, even though the shoes and the handbags were hard, but I donated them all to a women's shelter. And I left there going, like, that was seriously the best thing I've ever done in my life. It just felt so good to give these things that they meant something in my past life, but to just give them to somebody who truly needed them and valued them. It was life-changing. It was awesome.
Fantastic. So tell us about what's happening now. The presenter, mentor.
Yeah. So we were in the RV for a year, and last January we landed in Dallas, Texas. And I thought, okay, now what am I going to do? I got to do something. I got to have a job. So the first thing I did was I hired a coach. And I know you've got a lot of coaches in this group, and I love coaches. And so I hired a coach to help me get a job. Like, I hired somebody specifically for LinkedIn. I need a job. You go to LinkedIn to get a job. That's what you do. And very quickly, like I like to say within 2 weeks, but the reality is it was much faster than that. I realized I didn't want to go back to a job. I didn't want to go back to that life that was so unhealthy for me. And even though you take a break and you think, oh, it'll be better next time, the reality is some of it is who I am and how hard I work and what I put into my work. And I knew that I needed to do something different. And for those of you that are coaches, if you don't have this question in your toolkit, I'm going to give it to you. So my coach asked me this question that transformed my life. She said, when you think back to your life at corporate, and everything you did back then, what was the one thing that lit you up, that you are so passionate about, that you could talk about for hours, that people come to you for advice? And she barely finished the question, and I knew exactly what I was meant to do. And that is coaching and developing others, helping people improve their presentation skills. That was the one thing in my past life that I could do every day. I loved it. I loved helping trainers be better in front of their audience. And that might have been in a classroom, or it might have been like online. We did a lot of webinars. It was helping executives and leaders present in front of their teams, regardless of size. I helped people present in front of thousands of people, and even present in front of significant people. So going into a board meeting and presenting to the C-suite. And that was it. I knew what I had to do. So I took a couple of months to figure out, like, what is my process and what am I going to do and how do I get this all organized? And then I launched the Presenter Mentor in September. So I've only been doing this 6 months. I'm still learning, which is why I love this group so much, because I'm learning so much, especially about Facebook. And I offer, right now, my offer is one-on-one coaching. However, my goals for 2020 is I'm going to get my group class launched and my membership launched. So my hope is to have a variety of different ways for people to learn this process and become more effective and engaging presenters, and do it in a variety of different ways, both budget, different budgets, but also different ways that people learn. Some people need one-on-one coaching. Other people love the membership. So that's my 2020 goal. And Dallas, you can hold me to that goal.
Okay, great. So, people on here are obviously coaches, and they're using something like this Zoom in group coaching. They're doing webinars, they're doing master classes. They're actually getting out into the communities, to the Chamber of Commerce, right, presenting their services, their expertise. So, there's so many ways that a coach or a consultant is out there in front of people, either teaching or selling or marketing themselves, right?
Yes, exactly. Right?
So what are some great, tips we should start with, that makes a presentation not drag, I guess, right?
Right, exactly. So I would tell you, I'm going to give you 3 of my best tips. And so these are, I call them my make or break presentation tips. So it's kind of like the 80-20 rule, right? If you focus on these 3 things, you're going to get majority of the way there. Like, you're going to see the biggest significant improvement in your presentations if you just do these 3 things. So the 3 things are, number 1 is define your purpose. Number 2 is start with a bang. And number 3 is show up. And I'll talk about each of those. But before I do that, I know we've got some folks on live, or at least I hope so. I'm checking here.
Yeah,
okay, so help us out here. I want to be as specific to your needs as possible. So I want you to do 2 things in the comments. Number 1 is, what types of presentations do you do and do you want to improve on? And Dallas talked about a number of them. So tell me that first. And then the second thing is, where are you struggling? What's your biggest challenge with making them effective and engaging? And what I know we're going to take questions later in this live, but what I'll commit to all of you is, if we don't get to all of them, and I know a lot of you are watching this on replay, so it's #replay, I think, in Facebook. I will go back in and respond to your comments. So if you're not watching this live, I'll still be there. Okay, so my 3 things. The first one is define your purpose. And I always tell my clients, like, this may be the boring one, but it is so essential. It is the fundamental.
Are you defining your purpose to your audience, or is that something you just need to know in your preparation?
You're both. So before you write anything down, before you create your slides, before you do your talk tracks, I want you to write out the purpose of that specific presentation. And now that's a little bit different than a call to action. Usually a call to action is a specific task, right? I want you to do X. So this is a little bit.
What's the goal of the presentation?
What's the goal? And I always ask people this: what do you want at the end of your presentation? What do you want your audience to do, think, or believe? So let me give you an analogy, because I think it helps. So how many of you like vacations? So thumbs up. Vacation. Do you like vacation? Do you like to go on vacation, Dallas?
Absolutely.
Okay, so my guess is that you plan that vacation. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so you probably decide where you're going and how you're going to get there and maybe where you're going to stay.
Right.
At a minimum, right?
Right.
But then you also define the purpose, even if you don't know that you're doing it. So let me give you an example. So I always get asked about the RV trip. Where was my favorite place? And it's an easy answer, Montana. So let's say we're going on vacation to Montana, Dallas. And you know you're going there, you know how you're going to get there, you know where you're going to stay, but now you have to decide what's the purpose of that vacation. And I'm going to give you two examples. So the first one is you're going there to be active. You want to ski and snowmobile, and maybe you want to go sightseeing, and you want to be active and go on the go all the time. That has a very specific purpose. That's a type of vacation. The alternative is you go to Montana to a spa, to a resort, and you get massages and facials, and you sit inside where it's warm in front of the fire, sipping your hot chocolate, and you
Completely
relax.
different purpose.
Totally different purpose, right? Still going to Montana, but two different things. Right. So you want to do that for your presentation. What is my purpose? And then once you have that purpose defined, everything you build in that presentation supports it. If there is a topic or an idea or a story or anything else, and you can't say that it helps you achieve that purpose, then you get rid of it. It doesn't belong.
Okay.
Okay. So that is all about defining your purpose. Now, once you have your purpose defined, now you can start building your presentation. This is the second one, my second favorite make or break tip. And that is
wait a minute, let's go back to the purpose. So you defined it prior, but are you announcing it in the presentation?
Yes.
What I want you to get out of this presentation is, or
yes.
the purpose of this presentation is? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that I would say the purpose of this presentation is, but I usually will say something like this. I will say, my goal today is for you to, okay, so you make it a more conversational than robotic, right? But here's why that's important, Dallas. So number one, it's almost like goal setting. If you write down your goal and you know that that's your goal for the year, you're 10 times more likely to achieve it if you're looking at it and you're seeing it on your wall every day. Like, that's my goal and I'm going to go there. The same thing is true in a presentation if you tell your audience that. If you tell your audience, hey, this is what I want for you. This is what we're all here to do. They're 10 times more likely to get there with you because you told them up front. Right. The other thing it does is it makes sure we're all on the same page, right? I saw a post on Facebook today that just cracked me up. And it was something about, hey, we're all here to learn salsa dancing. And the person is hiding their bag of chips and says, oh, there was a big misunderstanding. They thought salsa, like eat salsa, right? So the whole point of telling them is, if that's not what they expected, then let's respect each other's time, and this may not be the right place for you. So it's about expectation setting too. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So are you ready for number two?
Yeah.
Two. Okay. So two is to start with a bang, and let's talk about first impressions. So if you are to Google, how long does it take to make a first impression? You will get pages of responses, all sorts of data and statistics and studies that have been done over the years. And it ranges anywhere from 0.5 seconds, so that's like a blink of an eye, to I've seen 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute. The bottom line of all those studies is it's a very short period of time to make a first impression. Very small window. And so what I help people understand is the first 15 seconds are the most important of the entire presentation. How you start matters. It all goes towards you creating that first impression. Yeah. And what I find, and I'll have the viewers, you all have to, I'm going to trust you to be honest here. Think back to the last webinar, video, live that you did as part of your coaching business. What did you do the first 15 seconds? Now, I'm not going to make you tell me because I don't want to call anybody out, but if you don't know, you should go watch. And my guess is it's one of two things. Most of my clients, it's one of these two things. Number one, it's some sort of technical check. So can you hear me? Can you see me? Is this streaming? What's working? Right? Or two, it is biographical. I'm going to recite my entire resume for you to know how good I am, or whatever it may be, right?
Credentials.
Credentials, right? It's like we're trying to.
That's gonna create some trust, right?
Right. Well, it's like we believe that we have to earn the right to be there. You've already got the right. Those people showed up. They showed up because you already got them there. So here's what I want you to do instead. What I want you to do instead in the first 15 seconds is do something that grabs my attention and pulls me in. The best analogy that I can give you is think about movies. I love movies. I love movie trailers and previews. So think about what's the purpose of a movie trailer? Why do the movie companies make movie trailers or previews?
Yeah. Well, they want to, get your attention right away and get you over to watch the whole thing for an hour and a half. Right?
Or three. Exactly.
It's
like this little glimpse of, hey, we want you to come watch our 3-hour movie. So we're going to give you this little taste so that you get excited and you're fired up. And I can't wait to go see that movie. It's going to be so good. That's what you have to do at the beginning of your presentation. Something small, something little that grabs people and pulls them in and connects you to them and makes them I always imagine them sitting at home going, whoa, this is different.
So what are some of those things?
Okay, so it could be a story. It could be ask a question. It could be I like to say startling statistics, something that shocks
wakes
people.
them up. Wakes
them up. Yeah. Now, that is how you start that first impression. It makes people go, I like her. I like this. I want to be part of this. I'm now entertained. I'm engaged. I'm interested in what you have to tell me for the next 45 minutes or the next hour, however much time we're spending together.
Right.
Now, for those of you that are like, wait, what about the credentials? I need to share my credentials. So here's my tip, Dallas, for credentials. Number one, remember the purpose, right? We said define your purpose and everything supports the purpose.
Right.
Whatever information you need to give them about yourself, your credentials, your bio, needs to support achieving that. So the only thing you want to share is what they need to know in order to do that. The best example I could give you is let's say you're an actual retail store. You've got a bakery, right? And you're trying to get people to come into your bakery. What they need to know about your bakery is where we're located and what time we're open, not everything else about the bakery.
Where I went to school, what kind of baking school I went to,
exactly.
What I've been doing, baking.
Exactly.
What's my favorite thing to bake?
Exactly. Now, that stuff is important. And you absolutely will have people attending your webinars that need that information. My husband is one of them. He has to know everybody's credentials before he does business with them. But that's not everybody. And so all you simply do is tell them where to find that information. So it sounds like this, right? Here's who I am. Here's my relevant information. And if you need more information about me, check out my profile. Yeah, go to my website, go to my About Us section. Tell them where to go for that information versus using that valuable presentation time to just, regurgitate your entire resume. Okay, so that was
just hopping on now, you guys. Hi, Kim. Hi, Dura. Francis, Lindsay. Hi, you guys. Put a hashtag live in the comments so we know when you're watching live and not the replay. So a couple of things is if you're just hopping on, the first thing you want to do, which Jamie said, is you want to define your purpose of the presentation, okay? And you want to announce it as what is the goal of the presentation with your audience once you get on and you're presenting in front of someone. Oh, and the other thing she wanted you all to do was to write down in the comments what kind of presentations are you doing, okay? And the second thing is you want to come out with a bang. You want to wake your audience up. You don't want to put them to sleep right from the get-go. Right. So you either want to give an unusual statistic, you want to do something like ask a question. And what was the other thing?
Tell a story.
Tell a story. Okay, great. All right, so we're caught up here.
Good. Everybody's with me. Now we're to the third thing. Okay. We've been talking about first impressions. So the reason that start with a bang is so important is the first 15 seconds is your opportunity to get that first impression.
Right.
The other thing you need to know about first impressions is that people are deciding whether or not they like you, trust you, want to do business with you during that time. They're judging.
I mean, wow.
Right?
Well, I hope that's not the way it was for this group, because in the beginning of this group, I'm sure I was not, impressionable.
Right. Like, it doesn't mean you can't recover and you can't get them later. But
okay.
Imagine when you're presenting, if you can get them from the very beginning, it's gold, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's a startling statistic for you. So studies have been shown that talk about what's involved in that decision-making process. And it's a 60-40 split. So 60% is based on how you look and how you sound. So it's how you show up.
Visual.
And
it's visual.
Yes. So it's what you look like. It's how you project yourself. It's the confidence that comes across on screen. It's your voice tone and inflection. 60%. That means only 40% is based on the actual words that come out of your mouth.
Wow.
Now, if that's not scary, 50 years ago, it was worse. It was 90-10. So we're getting better. I think as a people, we're realizing that it's not just about the words. It's not just about the titles we hold. It's about the influence that we have. And so I'm glad to see that shift, but it's still 60-40. Woo! And we have spent all this time so far just talking about the words and how you plan and prepare. So my third tip today is how you show up. And Dallas, like, I could talk about just this for hours. So I'm going to pick just one. And I want you all to think about this first before I get into this. So imagine a time, I'm sure that you can relate to this. Imagine a time when you were having a conversation with, it doesn't matter, family, friend, coworker, and as they're talking to you and telling you some story, they're looking at your mouth. They're looking at your mouth, and so constantly you're like, what's going on with my mouth? Do I have something in my mouth? Do I have lipstick on my teeth? Do I have food in my teeth? You've stopped listening. You're no longer listening to the story they're telling you. You're worried about what's going on with my mouth. They're not making eye contact, right? Okay. And it is how we make those decisions on whether or not we like somebody is whether or not we make good eye contact. Now, the hard part when you're doing webinars and videos online is there's no people. You're talking to a screen. And so how do you make good eye contact on a webinar through a webcam? So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. So think about somebody in your life that you have really easy conversations with. Maybe it's grandma, maybe it's your best friend, spouse, and imagine that camera is them, and just talk to your camera like they're a person. Now, here's a couple of keys. I really want you to look at the lens. So specifically, if you're on, let's say, if you're doing your phone, you're going to look here. If you're on this side, you're looking up here, right? If you're using an actual webcam like I am, you're looking here at the lens. That's your home base. Now, what you don't want to do is just stare incessantly at the lens. And I'm never going to break eye contact. I'm just going to stare at it and talk. That's almost worse. It's almost creepy, right? You want to be conversational. You want to, look around like you would talk to a normal person. Just come back to home base, which is the camera lens.
Yeah. Now, do you advise cutting out a picture of somebody and putting it near the lens if you're doing a webcam?
Let me give you a better story. So typically what I find from my clients is what happens is they're looking at the screen. And the reason they're looking at the screen is there's people on the screen. I see myself, I see Dallas, I see me, and I see Dallas. So I'm going to talk to me and Dallas on the screen. Right. The problem is to everybody else, this is what they see. Right. I'm looking down, right? I'm not looking at the right place.
Right.
So what I tell people to do is get something, I'm doing it right now, get like a flip chart and cover your screen. If you're on camera, post-it note.
Cover the screen so you don't see the person.
Don't see yourself. Yep. Now, if you want a really good tip, outline your notes. Go on this. Then as you're talking on screen, it's not wanting to stick. It tells you how dirty my phone is. Your notes are here. You're looking here, right?
Oh,
now,
fantastic.
Right. Now, what I have told people to do sometimes is if you get a sticky, like cut it into the shape of an arrow. I've even done circles and put the circle around it. Something that reminds you, oh yeah, I got to look up here, right? Now, the picture of the person, I think it's a great idea. The only thing I would worry about is if you have it too low, you're not going to be quite making eye contact. So I would tell you, like, take this, take a Post-it and do this and put that there so that it's a constant reminder to look up, right?
Yeah. I've, on some of my lives, I now will take my clipboard of notes and I'm using a big screen, and I just put the clipboard of notes on the screen so I don't look at anything. I don't look at myself. There you go.
Right. Just like this.
You're doing the same thing.
So this is my notes, and I clip them on my clipboard, like, clip them right there.
Yeah.
And then I take this, turn it around, and I sit it in front of my laptop screen. So now I have my notes are right here.
Right.
I'm not looking at myself, and I might even, put my sticky like, look up
with the arrow.
Yeah.
Keep looking at the camera.
Yes. So those are my 3 tips. So define your purpose. Once you know your purpose, what is the goal of your presentation? What are you trying to achieve? I gotta put that back. I'm distracted. I'm trying to look at myself. Second thing is start with a bang, right? Grab your audience, do something that gets their attention and pulls them in and connects them to you immediately because you're wanting to create that great first impression. And then the third big tip is show up. Remember that 60% of that buying decision is based on how you look and how you present yourself and how you sound. So eye contact, that camera lens is your new best friend.
So you want to make sure that, you're not sitting in front of a closet that's open with the door open and all we see is like your clothing, right?
Yes.
You want to make sure that whatever's behind you is pretty tidy, right?
Yeah. Like, so if you've got, listen, I got piles of stuff. I'm not an organized person. I may project one on TV, but I'm not. And so I'm moving that out of the camera's way. So my file folders with all my notes, it's down there on the floor, right? All my other, like my notebooks and my other things that I'm working on are off camera. And the reason
you don't want the distraction is a distraction, right?
Yeah, it's all about, you want people focusing on you and what you're brilliant, right? You are a coach or an online entrepreneur because you have something to share with the world. You have a message, a talent, a gift, you want to help. And so anything you can do to not distract is important. And remember my story about do I have something in my teeth, right? As soon as I'm focused now on why is she looking at my mouth, I stop listening. I'm no longer paying attention because I'm distracted by something. So if there's something, there's something in the background. I'll even give you another example. Where did I put it? Here, hold on. So even like all these like motivational signs, right? That so many of us coaches, we love because they're inspiration. It's okay to have it back there if it's short and sweet. And you can very quickly, can you see that?
Yes, yeah.
Very quickly at a glance, you can read it. But if it's something small, what happens is we want to know what that is. What book does she have? What's going on back there? What book is that she's reading? So
I'm being distracted because I'm trying to figure out what she's reading. I get it.
Even photographs. Like I've got, we traveled for so long. I've got photos of all the different places we were. And if I have them sitting back there, you would be wondering, well, what is that place? Is that the desert? Is that a mountain? Is that, what body of water is that? So one is okay if it's really clear that it's the ocean. But if you have it filled with stuff, they're looking at your pictures, not looking at you.
You're more curious of what's in your room.
Yeah, it's human nature, right?
Yeah.
So even like like even this painting is like borderline. It's a little distracting. And so I keep thinking about changing it because I don't want to distract, but because it's just color, it's probably okay. If it was words, that might be too distracting.
Yeah. Or it was people.
Or people.
You know, or landscape or something like that.
Like you know, the picture behind you is perfect. It's perfect because it is beautiful and it frames you nicely, but I'm not sitting there going, what is that? What's behind her?
Really see.
Right?
But you know what? I did put the plant here because I felt there was no color.
Yeah.
You know, I needed a little color in the background. So I put the lemon tree over here.
Yeah. I've got some green back there too. Yeah, it's you wanna frame yourself up versus just like if what you don't want to do is just be yourself at a blank wall or worse at a window, right?
Yeah, the window thing is not good.
Yeah, you want to be framed.
Or I don't even like when people walk around and do Facebook Lives holding the camera and they're walking around the house. Like,
it makes me want to puke.
I'm looking at the house. I'm not looking at them in the message, right?
I actually did. I know. I had a coaching session with somebody and I was like, wait, stop. What is that room? I actually stopped my client because I was so curious about what I was like, oh, this is not good. Don't move. Stay put.
Yeah. So Jamie, you have something you want to give away to people that are actually on the live or watching the replay, and we're going to put something in the comments. So you want to describe what you have for
Yes. So one of the tools that I give my clients is a presentation planner, and it's essentially a spot for you to plan out your presentation. And so what I've done is I've created a half sheet. Now, I've got it as a full page, but then I also have it so it's 2 up. So what I do is I print them in pads, like with a background, and then I tear a sheet off each time. And so this abbreviated version is great for short presentations. So think I'm going to a networking event and I've got maybe 10 minutes to talk, or I'm doing a 2-minute, a 2-minute video. And it gives you the tools for you to outline what's my purpose and how am I going to grab attention. And then there are 3 or 4 other pieces of this. And so what I've done, in addition to giving you this to download, I also recorded a video that shows you how to do the other pieces. So you guys are all ahead. You've got the first 2. The rest of the steps, watch the video and it kind of walks you through what you're doing. So
that's great.
Yeah. So what you have to do is just go to my website, thepresentermentor.com, and there's a pop-up. Yep, it's a newsletter. I know. You got to put in your email, and then that will send you a link to download it and to watch the video. And for those of you that are like, I don't need more emails. I only do monthly newsletters. It's once a month. You can always unsubscribe, but I promise not to spam you. And those of you that are coaches that coach on how to do email lists, I know what you're thinking. And yes, I need coaching on this. That's probably not the best way to approach it, but it's what I'm doing right now. So it's a great way to get it. If anybody has any trouble, I don't know why my alarm is going off. Just let me know, ping me in the comments and say, hey, struggling, and I'll get you squared away.
Great. And you know what, when we get off here, I will put her your website in the comments.
Awesome.
So people can go there and make it easy for people to find and then opt into this kind of freebie, which I think I want it.
It's awesome. I use it. I still use it. And I've been doing videos and all this stuff for, like I said, 25 years. And I still, every time I'm going to do anything, any kind of presentation, I pull out my pad and I tear off a sheet and I start working on planning out what I'm going to do, what I'm going to say. So great. It's very helpful.
Great. Good tool to have, especially nowadays.
Yes.
We want everyone to start doing lives. And this is a great way just to get focused and know what you're going to say, right?
Right. Remember when I remember back to my first presentation, which was horrible, and I just winged it. No more winging it. It's not a good idea. It's never going to end well. So plan it, figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, great. So Jamie, thank you so much for hopping on here and sharing some of your tips and tricks with us. And just everyone have a great day today. And if you want to connect with Jamie, she's got, connect with her on Facebook, right?
Yes, on Facebook.
and you also have a business page, which is it the name of the presenter mentor?
Yes. And
Okay.
I'll tell you, I post most of my content goes on the business page, but I'm learning with Dallas's help that I got to promote on my personal page as that top of my funnel coming in. So a couple times a week, I'm sharing to my personal page. But if you want the most content, you want to go to the biz page for now. I'll get better at it. I'm learning. Remember, I've only been doing this for 6 months.
Good.
Yeah.
Great. And eventually she's going to have a group. So
yes. Yeah, even better.
All right, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Dallas. This was so much fun.
Okay. Bye.